Simply Cooking by MmmChef is brought to you in part by CPI Interiors. A great kitchen starts with a great design. Get that custom home interior you dream of. At CPI Interiors, we listen and beautiful happens.
Hi, welcome to Simply Cooking by MmmChef. I'm Daniela Croco, and I'm a holistic chef. I turn traditional and classic recipes into nutrient-dense and simple eats. I'm going to show you how to prepare a day of food when you're going to be on the go so you can still eat nutritiously. Stay tuned. Most people think that it's really hard to eat healthy when they're on the go, resorting to things like drive-thrus and quick pick-me-ups at corner stores and gas stations and things like that. But that's a fallacy. It does not have to be difficult to eat healthy when you're on the go. This is something that I teach a lot of my clients, and kind of the main part about my business is making sure that you have delicious yet nutritious foods and snacks ready for you so that when you're busy and in a pinch, you have something ready to go that isn't chips or something that's really unhealthy. These are my famous classic MmmChef oat balls. These are something that I've been making for a long time, and I sell at a local grocery store. You can get them directly through me. I'm not going to share the exact recipe because that's a secret, but energy balls are something that are really great to have on hand and are actually pretty simple to make. You can find hundreds of recipes online, but I like to use a rule. I like to use a base of a nut or seed butter, so peanut butter, almond butter, cashew butter, sunflower seed butter, or if you're sending them to school with your kids, you can do a school-safe butter like the Sun Butter or the Wow butter that's made from soy beans. And then with the nut butter, I also like to use a sweetener of some kind, so I do equal parts nut butter to equal parts sweetener. I like to use maple syrup, but you can use honey, corn syrup, agave, coconut nectar, any sort of liquidy type sweetener. And then the third thing that I use is a solid fat. So equal parts nut butter to equal parts sweetener to equal parts fat. The fat that I like to use is coconut oil, but you can use butter or shortening or any other type of solid butter. So if you're vegan, you could even use like a vegan margarine or something like that. And then to those ingredients, I add a whole bunch of dry goods. Oats, puffed quinoa, chocolate chips, shredded coconut, flax seeds, chia seeds, you name it, I've done it. They're really good with dark chocolate chips and cranberries. Yummy, yummy. So I've packed these in my little to-go zippy bag. Instead of using a plastic zippy bag, I like to use these reusable ones. They're made of a pretty fabric on the outside, and on the inside, it's actually a food-safe, washable material that you can just pop right into your dishwasher or even into your washing machine. A lovely local lady made these for me. I bet you can find someone local to you who makes them too. Another grab-and-go thing that I love to have ready always is smoothie jars. They really can save you on a busy morning or even as a quick afternoon pick-me-up, or you can blend them in advance and have them frozen and then pop it in your purse, and by the afternoon it's defrosted and ready to shake up and drink. I'm going to show you a basic procedure to building a smoothie jar, but the ingredients can be really anything that you like. I always love to start with a green. Spinach is my favorite green to start with because it has not very much flavor. However, you can use kale, you can use romaine, you can use some celery, really anything you like. And if you're not a green smoothie kind of person, don't put any in at all. Then my favorite smoothie flavor is banana peanut butter. So that's what I'm gonna do. But at this point, instead of a banana, you could do something like berries or some chopped up pineapple, mango, or even some frozen fruit that you might already have on hand. And to this, I'm going to add some peanut butter, some yummy cocoa powder, and some chia seeds. Peanut butter, a nice scoop. You can use powdered peanut butter, you can use almond butter, or you can throw in a handful of peanuts or whole almonds, depending how strong your blender is. I like to add a little bit of seeds. I love chia seeds because they add a thickness and they also add great omega fats and lots of protein and fiber. but you can use flax seeds, hemp seeds, or you can leave that out altogether. I'm using raw cocoa powder. And at this point, if you're feeding these to someone who might be a little bit picky or is used to a sweeter flavor, you might want to add a little drizzle of maple syrup or honey or a splash of agave or something to this. But otherwise, I just pop the lid onto these and throw them into the freezer. And then in the morning, I grab one from the freezer, pop it into the blender, fill my jar halfway with water or almond milk or whatever liquid that you like, blend it and pour it right back into my jar and take it with me to go. I just realized that I actually haven't eaten anything today. So I'm gonna blend up one of these smoothie jars for myself, and I'm gonna see you after the break.
This program is brought to you in part by CPI Interiors, designing customized home spaces for all tastes and budgets for over 20 years. At CPI Interiors, we listen and beautiful happens.
Yummy. My smoothie's all blended, and my other smoothie in the jar I put in the freezer so that it's ready for me to go for tomorrow. I'm just gonna set that to the side. So today we're talking about grab and go. I've got a really busy week ahead of me, and so I've got my hair down and I don't have an apron on because I actually have somewhere to go after I finish up this prep. So I've got these really cool bento boxes. They're a pre-made box with the different compartments in them, but of course you don't have to have anything fancy like this. Just a regular container with little jars in it to separate the different sections. Or you know what else you can use? You can use little muffin tin liners, the paper liners. I thought I had some, but I couldn't for the life of me find them anywhere, so I thought I would show you the jar trick instead. You could even take it a level up, and if you have those silicone muffin tin liners, you can use those as well. And then that way the foods aren't touching if any of them happen to have a different texture or wetness. I'm not gonna use this container with these jars, so I'm just gonna set that aside. All right, so my bento box. I'm going to make some veggies and dip, and I'm going to put things in there that's kind of like a charcuterie. Every culture seems to have their own type of lunchbox or antipasti platter or what have you. So even though this is a bento box, which typically might have like sushi and seaweed salad or Asian inspired foods in there, I'm gonna make it into the things that I eat all the time. Something else that's really helpful when you're prepping is setting up your kitchen around you. You want it to be as time efficient as possible, and you also want to be able to move around in your kitchen easily. I used to live in a place that didn't have a proper working triangle. My friend Catherine at CPI Interiors is so all about the proper working triangle, and I didn't understand until I had a kitchen that didn't have one. So what you can do if you don't have a proper working triangle is you can set up a table for yourself somewhere in your kitchen to make that for you. But what I mean by a perfect working triangle is I've got a stove and a sink and the fridge behind me. So I can really stand in one place and turn quite conveniently in a triangle shape, and everything is accessible to me, which really helps me when I'm prepping time-wise. Some little beautiful bell peppers and some cucumber. Now, of course, again, you're gonna use whatever vegetables that your family likes. I'm showing you just one box, but typically I would be making both boxes for me and my hubs. A little bit of fennel and some cherry tomatoes. I've got some salamis in my wax wraps. Leftovers from the other day, and some cheeses. This is a perfect little appetizer box for lunch. Earlier, I made some salad jars. They're ready to go. I'm gonna take those out of the fridge to show you in a few. And I've also pre-boiled some eggs, which will also add a nice bit of protein to my box. We've got some dairy-free cheddar and some dairy-free Gouda. Get rid of those. And some of my famous family salamis. Just because you're on the go doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice flavor either. Excellent. Let me grab my salad jars and I'm going to grab the eggs and show you that stuff. Oh, and some grapes. Some fruit would be really nice in there too. Talk about the salad jar in just a second. Some grapes in here. Grapes, cheese, and cured meats. Who doesn't like that? If you don't eat meat, that's fine. You can leave that out altogether, or you can add in things like almonds and walnuts to get a little bit more protein. I have these boiled eggs. I'm just going to put them in there whole, but you could pre-peel them, especially if you're sending this to go with a kid for lunch or something like that. You might want to pre-peel the egg, but I find it fun peeling eggs, so I'm just going to leave it whole. And then I have this pre-made hummus. I always have hummus ready to go. Another reason that I'm not going to peel the egg is because the eggshell is going to get hummus on it. And actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little piece of this fennel and create a wall for myself. Now there's a nice little wall in there and the egg won't get as much stuff on it. Wonderful. So now I've got a box lunch ready to go. And then this is a salad jar that I was talking about earlier. I made this earlier. It's got dressing on the bottom, a cooked grain of some kind, veggies, and then my most soft vegetables at the top. So I've got my greens and my romaine lettuce all at the top, and also my nuts at the top. This way, the dressing that's on the bottom doesn't touch any of this stuff up here, and it doesn't get soggy, and it can last a long time. These are great to throw in your bag, in your purse, on the go. Look at that. And the smoothie, but I'm gonna drink that. Excellent. I also wanna talk about how grabbing on the go can be really, time consuming, and you think that doing a lot of prep is not something that you have time for. You can take shortcuts, basically. What you can do is you can go to the grocery store and you can buy the pre-cut veggies and buy the pre-cut fruit. I've even seen pre-boiled eggs and little containers of pre-cut cheeses. If you have all the accoutrements and pieces ready for you, all you have to do is grab a container and put it all together. So I know that you may not have time to do all the washing and the cutting and the cleaning, but if you plan your grocery shop right, you can definitely get that done. You could also hire a personal chef to come over and do all the prep for you in an hour or so, and then you don't have to worry about it at all. But that's for another story. All right, I'm gonna wrap all of this up. So I use these awesome little wax wrap. That's another great idea for on the go. Sometimes when I'm on the go, or when I was younger, I would love to take an apple to school for lunch, but I hated eating an apple just like this. I always wanted to eat a sliced apple. So sometimes I slice up an apple and I hold it together in the slices and put it right into the middle of one of these wax wraps and wrap that up really nice and tight. And then when you unwrap the wax wrap, the apple just falls apart. Of course, you could do that with something like saran wrap, but as you guys know, I like to stay away from plastic as much as possible, so that's why these guys are my best friends. All right, I'm also gonna make a little snack. So let's pretend that we're going to leave the house for a full entire day. You've got your smoothie once you leave. You've got your oat balls for your mid-morning snack. You've got your salad jar for your lunch. Then you've got your, oat balls. I think I already said oat balls. Then you have your charcuterie box or bento box for your afternoon meal or your dinner. And yeah, I think that being on the go is something that a lot of people really struggle with because, you drive by that drive-through and you think that you can just go through the drive-through and grab something, but a little bit of planning can really go a long way. So I've got almost a full day here, but my husband's not like a big fan of the whole charcuterie style meal. So I'm gonna make him a sandwich. I'm gonna show you how you can build a sandwich and not have any of the ingredients touching so that it doesn't get soggy. Have you ever made a sandwich or a wrap or something and thrown that in your lunchbox, and then by lunchtime the wrap is all falling apart and not very appetizing, and then instead of eating the lunch that you packed, you end up going down to the cafeteria or perhaps stopping by and grabbing something pre-made from a restaurant because you just don't want to eat that soggy mess that you packed in your zippy bag? Well, I'm going to show you how to avoid that so that you can not only save money by making your own lunches, but also eat things that are tasty and super nutritious for you. We'll see you after the break. Now that I've got my bento boxes, my salad jars, my boiled eggs, and my energy balls all ready to go, I'm going to talk about how we can plan and prep sandwiches. Most people wouldn't make a sandwich more than a couple hours before they were going to eat it, if not right before they were going to eat it. You don't typically make a sandwich the night before or the day before, but I'm going to show you how you can do that so that in a pinch you have something ready to go. A lot of people are really intimidated by planning for a busy day, and it doesn't really have to be intimidating. You just have to make sure that you have a plan in place and that you actually have a little bit of time set aside. This is a really cool container that I have. I have 2 of them. I love to use them all the time. But just like the bento box, you don't have to have a specific container to make a sandwich. So I'm going to show you how to, I also do it with parchment paper. And this is what I used to use before I had these fancy containers. So I'm going to pull this container apart and lay it out here to show you. This is a little ice pack that you can keep your food cold with, but I actually don't really often put this in the freezer at all. I just like to use it as a separator. I don't really like a ice cold sandwich anyway. All right, so I've got some buns in here. These are my favorite gluten-free buns, but you can use whatever bun that you like, or bread, or a wrap, or what have you. So the trick is to keep everything separate so that nothing is touching, so that you can even make a sandwich like 4 or 5 days in advance, and when you go to eat it, it's great, and you just have to assemble it and have to make sure that you have a little bit of extra time to put your food together before you eat it. So I'm going to show you how I do it with the parchment paper and show you how I do it in the container. Instead of the container, I'm going to use these zippies, but again, you can use a saran wrap or a plastic zippy if that's something that you have at your house, but this is what I have at my house. So first thing to go in is the bread, as you see, and because I don't have my own separations in the zippies, I wrap in parchment paper. I'm going to put it right back into the same bag that I took the buns out of. So now I have my bun in there wrapped in parchment paper, and I've got room for other things, and now I've got my bun in the bottom there. Actually, the bun goes in the bottom here. That's the lid. Oh my goodness. Then I'm going to put the compartments on top here. So I'm kind of going to do the same thing in the parchment paper. Let me grab the rest of my ingredients for my sandwiches. I've got some roasted chicken here. I love to roast a chicken once a week and pull it apart and have it ready to go. So this is what I have left from the chicken that I roasted a few days ago. Some romaine lettuce for some crunch. And I love to use sprouts and baby greens on sandwiches and in salads. Baby greens are actually one of the most nutritious foods. Sprouts and seeds and baby plants have all the nutrition to turn them into a big plant. So this tiny little arugula has all of the nutrition that it would take to build a big arugula. So the nutritional punch in this is so much greater. All right. So next I'm going to slice up some tomato and put all my lettuces together. So there's lettuce for one sandwich. And then we have lettuce for sandwich number 2. And we're going to put that in the parchment. Same with my greens on the same level. Just like I did with the bread, I'm going to give it a good wrap. And then when I put this in the bag, I'm gonna make sure that the folded part is down so that it doesn't come apart. And now I have my bread separate from my lettuce. Same thing here. Then I'm going to put my chicken in the other compartment, but I'm gonna move it over because I need some space for some sauce like mayo or hummus. Here we go. And then the same thing with this. Now I'm going to use this pack, the smaller one, for the chicken and for the tomato. All right. Let me move these over so you can see what I'm doing. Got this tomato here. I love lots of tomato on my sandwich, so I'm going to use this whole tomato for 2 sandwiches. Now the chicken doesn't matter if it really gets wet, so I'm gonna put the tomato in with the chicken in this container here. But for the zippies, I'm going to use this parchment paper just like I did for everything else. If I had enough zippies, I could use an individual zippy for each part, but that's a lot of carrying around in my lunch bag, so there we go. So chicken and tomato in one, bread and lettuce in the other. Same with over here. I'm gonna throw this knife in the bottom here on this side so that I have something to spread onto my sandwich. But in here, I don't have that, so I'm gonna use just a regular spoon. But what I'm gonna say about this is make sure you remember to bring it home or have your kid bring it home. Otherwise, don't put it in there at all and just use your finger to spread around. I'm gonna use hummus. It's my favorite thing to put on a sandwich, but you can use mayo or a dip, or you can just leave it out completely, or perhaps you can slice up an avocado and put that in with your compartments here. Now, because my tomato is moist and so is my chicken, I'm gonna actually put the dollop of hummus right in the corner here. That should be enough. Perfect. And then the end of this jar, I'm just gonna bring it with me for the ones that are in the bag. Give my finger a nice little wipe. So see, you can make a sandwich so many days in advance and it doesn't have to be soggy or yucky, and you can really do that with so many different things. If you don't eat meat, you can make yourself like a chickpea or black bean salad and put that in here on this side, and you can chop the tomatoes up to put right in there. You can do that with egg salad or any of those things like that. Here we go. So I have my sandwich container all ready to go, and my sandwich zippy bag lunch ready to go with my little thing of hummus. Then we're gonna go back and I'm just gonna grab the other things that I made so I can show you all how easy and simple it is to make enough food for 2 or 3 days for 1 or 2 people, ready to grab and go in what? In a half an hour? We've got these salad jars that I made. Same thing, even though I had the grains pre-cooked and I made these before you guys saw me, it really was quick to put together. I had the grains pre-cooked. I poured the dressing in the bottom and I just built the stuff on top. My smoothie that I'm still sipping on and the one that I have in the freezer ready for tomorrow. And my bento box with my energy balls. So instead of energy balls, you can use boiled eggs in here. You can pack some cheese sticks with some pepperoni sticks, or you can put pretzels and chips and crackers and all those kinds of things here. I just wanted to show all of you that you really don't have to grab for that deep fried drive-through or grab that unhealthy food that probably isn't so great for your wallet, that you can take the things that you already have in your fridge or even pieces of your dinner from last night and turn them into something that you can grab and go. Wasn't that simple? See you next time.